Hi, come on in. Welcome to my studio. My name is Mr. Paul. I'm an artist. I've been an artist for many years, and I've been teaching young people just like yourself for a long time. I'm glad you're here. This is my first video online in this new program for the Arts Council of Oklahoma City, and I'm glad you're here. Um, This is my studio. Can't see much about it, but this is where I make my art. I have made art. I started making art back when I was in about the third grade, maybe fourth grade, and I just never stopped. I really enjoy being creative and doing things with my hands. And I assume because you're here watching this video, you like to do the same thing. So what we're going to be doing every video is we're going to be doing different art projects, real simple art projects that are fun, uh, easy to do. Maybe you can learn some things about improving your artwork. And of course, one of the main things you're here for is I want you to have a good time, and so we're going to do that, or try to do that anyway. Today, what we're going to do is we are going to be making art using letters and numbers. I know that kind of sounds weird because those are the things that you sometimes read, you see in books and in magazines and online and that kind of stuff, and you're thinking, how can you make art out of letters and numbers? We'll get into that a little bit later, but it's kind of interesting that when in the classes that I have in the schools, a lot of times kids will come up to me and go, Mr. Paul, can you teach us how to make those big bold letters that we see on billboards and posters and in books and in comic books and in graffiti or big murals that are outside on the on the walls? Uh, and they just haven't figured out how to do that yet. And so, for the ones that don't know how to do that, stick around, and I'm going to show you really just how easy it really is. In fact, once I show you how to do this, you're going to go, oh my gosh, that's so easy. I should have known that a long time ago. But it's real simple. And all you need to know is if you know how to draw the alphabet, which I'm sure you guys do, uh, what you're going to be needing is you're going to be needing a pencil, a an eraser, and a little later on, if you we're going to be getting into maybe doing some colored pencils or crayons or markers and those kinds of things. So if you haven't gotten those out yet, I'd take maybe, stop the video for a little bit and go get what you need and come back, and I can show you an easy way to make some really cool bold letters. You could even make a sign for the door, of your bedroom or the room that you sleep in, that kind of a thing. Again, let's stick around. Let's get those materials, and I will be right back. Okay, so let's get started. What you see here is just some simple letters that we all know. This is just one small example of what's called a block letter. They're not perfect. If you needed to be perfect, you could use a ruler, but I don't necessarily think you need to do that for right now. But yeah, it's these are just basic block letters. Again, as I said before, you can use all kinds of designs of letters. There's a word called font, and it's a computer word that you see on all computers. When you're writing stuff on the computer, you can choose a font. A font is the design of a specific letter. So if you want it to look like graffiti, you can press the button on the computer that's for graffiti, and all the letters will come out that way. So just to keep that in mind when we're talking about the different kinds of fonts that letters can come in. Uh, Again, this is real simple stuff. Right now, what I would like to do is kind of go over the basic. Let me put another piece of paper here. There we go. Uh, what I want to do is, maybe you can do this too, is why don't you pick uh, three letters? Let's say maybe your initials of your name. My name is Paul Daniel Medina, so my initials would be PDM. And as I said before, if you know your alphabet, all you need to do is just draw like you normally draw your alphabet, right? And so uh, figure out what your initials are of your name, three letters. The first letter of your first name, the first letter of your middle name, and the first letter in your last name. And so what I would do is I would just really simple draw a P for Paul, D for Daniel, and M for my last name. Now I'm using a big piece of paper because I just want to be able to show you how big it is. I mean the letters when I'm doing them, so you'll see how easy all of this really is. Um, Again, don't worry about the letters being perfect or anything. You can make a perfect letter or a weird letter that looks like a dinosaur. It doesn't make a difference. Just write the letters of your first, middle, and last name as big as you can on your piece of paper. Especially now, the large, doing them large is going to help you. You can, after a while, you'll be able to draw them as small as you want or as big as you want. But for right now, try to draw them as big as you can, okay? Okay, now, here's the trick, and it's not even a trick. Everybody knows what outlining is. When you outline, let's say, a sentence in a page, you mark around the sentence. And when you're doing large letters, here's the P, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to outline the entire letter like this, and even in the inside, you get all the you outline the letters all the way around. Pretty easy, right? And then what I like to do is I like to go in and erase the original letter that I drew. See how easy that is? Kind of take some time, and don't rush these. At first, it's going to be hard to try to, outline it and all that maybe. It may not. Some of you may know how to do this. It's easy for you. But I tell you what, just take your time. Try to do it as well as you can. Okay, let's do the M right now. Same thing. This is again real easy. Anybody can do this. Just try to make the lines even all the way around the letters, just like this. Take your time. See how I'm trying to make the lines that are parallel here? When lines are parallel, that means that they're straight together, all the way down and all the way up. Now, I got the other, now, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go all the way around. There we go. You can do this. the M. Take your eraser and erase the original letter that you wrote down. And again, some of these letters are even easier than other letters, and I'll show you that in a little bit. Catch this about letters as art. You know, a long, long time ago, all books, this was before the printing press when we were able to print books and letters and signs and everything on the computer and on the old printing presses. Uh, all books were drawn by hand. All the letters were drawn by hand. And I always thought that was so weird. And guess what? There wasn't very many books around at the time either, because it took a long time for somebody to copy an entire book by hand. Anyway, I just thought that was really kind of interesting. Okay, let's get this D down. Very easy. Same thing. I'm kind of going slow here because I want everybody, not everybody draws the same way or as well as others, right? But I tell you what, once you get this technique down, it's going to go, you're going to be able to do this so quickly to get really, really cool letters. There we go. Now, you may say, Mr. Paul, how about bubble letters? Well, it's the same thing. Let's do a bubble letter over here. Let's do another one. Let's do a K. Here's a K. Instead of making them squared like that, you can round them off. Round them off. Round them off. There we go. Kind of looks like balloons. You know, clowns tie balloons together and erase that center line. You can do them any way you want. You can put, let's do another one over here. Let's do a T. Here's a T. You could have them come to a point. And again, these don't have to be perfect, right? It's really as simple as pie here. And again, if you don't get it right the first time, keep trying. You can do this kind of a thing with any kind of letter and number. Let's do an 8. Here's an 8. Outline the 8. And make sure that you outline the inside of it too. There we go. See, I told you this was pretty easy. Now keep in mind, I know how to do this real well because I have been doing these for decades. I learned how to do this a long, long time ago. So it's easy for me to do that. It's so easy I can do it upside down, right? That's what I'm doing right now with this piece of paper right now. Now, another thing that I want to talk to you about is that once you get these kinds of letters down, and keep in mind, I don't know if you're doing these now with me or you're going to be doing them later, but remember I asked you to pick the initials, the first letters of the 3 names that you have, and you can place them in the center of your paper, right? If you've done that, that's cool. Now, to me, this is okay. This is kind of cool, but when it really starts taking effect is when you start coloring your letters in. This is another thing. Once you get those basic letters, keep in mind this, right? That is this right here. See? Just real simple. And you can do the designs in any way that you want. You can, I've done kind of like a zigzag design here, straight lines here, kind of polka dotted bubbles on this side. It's really kind of uh, uh, easy. I'm sure most of you know how to color. Just think of this like in a comic book. Here you've got your black lines showing you, try to keep your colors inside the lines, that kind of thing. But at the same time, once you get your basic initials down, you can do a design. You could do a checkerboard design. You could do a water design. You could put stars and hearts. It doesn't make a difference. That's up to you. That's when you use your creativity and your imagination. And I think that's really, really to me, that's the fun part. The fun part is when I get that basic thing down and I get to start playing with designs and colors and making them look really kind of cool. Um, Another thing that I'd like to mention right now, I think this is also kind of interesting that there's a lot of artists, like big time artists, national artists, international artists that are that are in museums and in galleries all over the world that use letters inside their artwork. Um, there's a man named Robert Indiana who makes sculpture, and he makes sculpture using big giant letters. I mean, his sculptures are like monumental, like 10, 15, 20 foot tall. They're really, really large, and they're really kind of cool. And he just kind of stacks the letters together, and I think that's kind of a cool thing. Uh, there's a guy named Ruche. In fact, he's from Oklahoma. He is a major contemporary artist in the world right now, and all of his work. It's kind of like he makes these landscapes of cities and stuff, but he adds the letters that he sees when he looks out at a cityscape or on the highway and stuff like that. That's kind of cool too. But there's a lot of artists. In fact, a long, long, long time ago, when I was talking to you about um, handwritten books a long time ago, there were these men that would illustrate the books. They would take a letter and kind of do what we're doing here, but they would make these really cool, interesting, elaborate pictures out of like one letter at the beginning of the book or at the beginning of a chapter of a book. Anyway, I thought that was really cool as well. Now, we've got to this point, right? Here I wanted to go to another level, and to me this is where even the more fun begins, and that is taking it one step further and making something out of your letters, right? Instead of looking at them just like, oh, that's a letter, that's a T, or that's a Q, or that's a P, you look at the letter and try to figure out what else does it look like. I don't know if any of you have ever laid out in the yard during the summer and look up at the sky and see the clouds, and you can see kind of designs and figures and animals and dragons and stuff that are in the clouds. I used to do that a lot when I was a kid. Look up and just try to count how many different things that I could make up out of the clouds. Well, it's kind of like the same thing I'm trying to ask you to do now, and that is how can I take a letter? Let me do a letter. Let's say, how about doing how about a T? Okay, so I got a T, right? Okay, I'm gonna do the outline like I normally do. Here we go. Let's erase that line. Okay, I look at that T and I go, okay, what does that kind of look like? What could I make out of that? Well, how about this? How about let's making this T into, what is this going to be? An angel. Maybe even put some feet down here. Kind of cool. How about this? And then you color that in. You can leave these white, or leave this white, maybe make the wings yellow. Of course, the halo up here, you could make gold or yellow, or you could do something even completely different. You could make the wings purple, right? Use your imagination. Have fun with this. Let's see. Let's do another one. Let's do another. Oh, how about this? How about an O? Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around it like I normally do, inside and outside. Erase this. The inside letter like we're doing, right? Let's see, what could I make out of that? Oh, I know. What do you think I'm making? I don't know about you, but I'm getting hungry. How about a donut? Wouldn't a donut taste pretty good right now? I love donuts. What do you think? A donut. And you could do the sprinkles different color, maybe do a pink icing here. The donut itself is kind of a light brown, you know. Let's see. What's another? Can you give me a name? I mean a letter you'd want me to do? Well, how about B? That might be fun. There's a B. Okay. Okay. Do the same thing. Outline it. Make sure you get the inside too. Because you want your letters big and thick so you can do some really cool designs in them. So what I'm trying to tell you is that yes, you could just design the letters like we did back here, right? Or you could do something real different and make the letters into different things. In my classes in my school, I sometimes have contests on who can make the coolest creatures, right? Who can make the best creatures? So how about this? How about about a bunny rabbit. This is where your imagination becomes the most important thing, right? It's the most important thing. So, this is just kind of something to think about, right? Um, you can do this. Um, I think I'm going to make my wings over here green. So, the next time you want to make like a sign, right? A poster, instead of just doing line drawings, and this is a line, right? But this is a shape. If you color in a line, all you do is you just go over the line with the color. But when you color in a shape, boy, that's when everything comes alive. So, this is something that you not can just do here, right? But you can do this, and you can take this and into any art project that you have, especially for those of you who make like cards or books, right? Or comic strips or comic books. Instead of doing them all in just the line letters, you can add some really bold shapes to just kind of punch that comic book up and make it a lot more exciting and interesting. So let me put this away, and I'll have some final words for you guys and kind of talk about maybe what's going to happen in the future. So hang in there. I'll be right back. Well, I tell you, this is about time for me to leave. I've got to go on, and I'm working on a project myself. Still working on this white piece back here. I may never finish it. Actually, I will, but it's working in clay is a kind of a long process, but I really enjoy doing it. But anyway, I'm glad you came today. I hope that maybe if you learned something, or if you didn't learn anything, that you already knew how to do this, that you had a good time. Um, it would be great if there was some way that um, you could send a message, give me an idea of maybe some things that you would like to learn or like to experience in the art. I would be more than happy to do that. In fact, I would love that if we can possibly get that together and have it done. Um, Next time I come in, we're going to talk about the shapes of things. Um, I know that sometimes when young people start out, they just have a hard time, what I call visualizing, meaning it's hard for them to picture in their head what they want to draw. And it this uh, this project that we're going to do the next time will be talking about that, how that young folks just like yourself, if you want to draw something specific like an animal or whatever it is, how do you break it down to its basic shapes? And I think that once that a young person can do that, it makes it a lot easier for them to be able to draw whatever they want. It's kind of a fun project, maybe even a little silly. We're going to be working with, doing some robots and some dinosaurs and some unicorns and some, a bunch of different kinds of things, and maybe helping you to be able to draw them a little bit better that you want. If you're a young artist, you want to get better, and so this program, like all the other programs the Arts Council of Oklahoma City are doing, that's what we try to do. So, be good, Have fun, make some art. You've got all this time right now. Get those colors out, get those crayons out, get the paper out. Just do some really fun stuff. And try to maybe incorporate, try to use some large words in your work too. I mean, it doesn't have to just be a sign. It could be, it could be like a card that you want to send to somebody. That would be kind of a cool thing right now, because we can't get out of the house as much. Send cards, make some cards and send them off. That would be really great. My granddaughter did that to me the other day. She sent me a card with uh, a drawing in it, and it just made my day. Anyway, see you next time. Uh, Stay safe. Stay close to your home and your families. And I'll see you next time. Thanks. See you then.